Nigel first saw Speedway in 1966 when he stayed in Halifax and travelled weekly to watch Bradford in action. His own career in Speedway took off some 11 years later when he was 17 and he got a place in the Newcastle team.
Nigel, tell us about your early days in Speedway and who and what influenced you.
Going back to when I was like a child, I think I first started going to Speedway when I was about 6 years old. I used to live in Halifax. My dad used to have a farm there, and we lived not far from the Shea, you know, where the Dukes used to ride. When Eric Bulcott was there, Dave Young husband, that's when I first started going to Speedway, and then Bradford opened, and we went there every week, and there was a couple of the Australian boys. In fact, no, I don't think ever. Robin Adlington was one. I don't know if he rode for Glasgow at one time, maybe. Gary Peterson that got killed at Wolverhampton. They used to come during the season and stop on the farm. So that's really how I got into it. And then as I got nearer 16, like, I eventually got a bike and started riding. I started at Bellevue at their training schools one winter. What Eric Bulcott used to run, you know, the old Bellevue, the Hyde Road one, the big bowl. And it went on from there, you know, and just got going.
Have you modelled yourself on any particular rider?
No, I've just always done my own thing. Obviously you have help off different riders, but I've just done my own thing as I thought it should be done. I don't know whether I've done it right or wrong. It's too late to worry about that now. So, you know, I've just gone about it and tried to do it as the best I can, although I say for about the first, I would say, 4 or 5 years when I rode, it was purely just for fun. There was no intentions, you know, I've never looked at it and thought, you know, I'd like to be world champion. I've never once thought about being like that. I've just taken each meeting as it come and just rode. You know, it was only, like I say, the first 4 or 5 years, it was just a hobby, just go and ride a motorbike. That's probably where I went wrong. I didn't take it seriously enough from the beginning. But then I got married, I had a mortgage, and all of a sudden it had to be serious then because I had a mortgage to pay. And that's probably when I started scoring a few points.
The money became important all of a sudden?
Yeah, it had to be because I got an house. Then we had the first baby, little girl, Gemma, and you know, you've got a family to keep, mortgage, you've got to score points then. So that's when it became serious.
You've been a very loyal rider for any of the clubs you've ridden for, and there aren't that many clubs that you've ridden for. Can you run us through your early days with certain clubs?
Yeah, my first club was Newcastle, which was very hard up there. They were a very successful club, and if you weren't scoring points, you was out. So, like, one week I was in the team, the next week I was out. I never knew until I actually got to Newcastle on a Monday night whether I was in the team or not, which I think hardened me up for later on. You know, I never expected anything. You know, I just went and I say hardened me up for it, that did. I went to Scunthorpe after Newcastle, and life seemed so much easier then. You know, it was so much easier at Scunthorpe because they weren't very successful. But I had 2 good years at Scunthorpe, and in my second year there, we actually went through the season unbeaten, which Scunthorpe had never done that before. And I think we won 2 or 3 away meetings. I think we finished about 6th in the league, which was unknown for Scunthorpe. You know, Scunthorpe had always finished bottom. And then the following year I went to Stoke and had 9 very good years at Stoke, you know, and they were good years as well. I wouldn't swap that for anything, you know, and then I came up to Glasgow.
With Stoke, you have won the Pearce title twice, going on to the success story of your career, being partnered with Tom Owen once and then your close friend Eric Monaghan. Which of the two do you reckon was your most satisfying?
The first one was very good because I'd started with Tom. Well, when I started, Tom was at Newcastle, and so I suppose I'd always looked at Tom and seen how Tom had gone about the job. And I suppose if I'd modelled myself off anybody, not that I'd modelled myself on him, but I'd looked at Tom and seen how he was doing it. He was a kingpin at Newcastle. To win the pairs with Tom was very good, and that was the first time I'd ever won anything as well. So, of course, we was really excited about that. That was really pleasing. But the second one, to win it with Eric, that was fantastic because we'd been mates for a few years. We used to double up, you know, transport. We used to travel everywhere together. We went down to Hackney that night, and I can remember it as if it was yesterday. You know, I had a terrible meeting, didn't score many points, just did enough to help Eric to win it, really. Eric rode out of his skin. He had 5 rides and 5 wins. And it was fantastic. There was, like, myself, Eric, Eric's mechanic, and my mechanic in the van, just the 4 of us, you know, doubled up there, went there, did the job. You know, fantastic night, great night that. You know, I was really pleased about that one.
Gave you a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah, that was good. I say, you know, we've been mates as well, and we do ride well. We did ride well together, you know, and so it just worked that night. There was no plan. People said, you know, you must have planned this, you planned that. There was no plan. We never planned anything. We never have done, never did do. You know, and it just worked that night. It was a really good night.
Take each race as it comes.
That's what we've always done. Yeah.
So we wonder who the bookies' favourite are for the grand final. Stoke or Mildenhall. Here they come. Toss up for gate positions again. We know that Mildenhall are in red and blue and Stoke are in white and yellow. Philip Rising, the editor of the Speedway Star. What a meeting for them tonight. He'll toss the coin. I bet he keeps it as well afterwards. So Crabby wins the toss for his side. And he's choosing 1 and 3 gate positions, so then Crabtree and Monaghan obviously got their tactics sorted out. Crabtree's in white off gate 1, Monaghan gate 3 yellow, and for Mildenhall, Kevin Eriksson off gate 2 in red, and off gate 4 in blue, Peter Glanz. So what an intense final it's going to be now. The fast starting Danes from Mildenhall, Eriksson and Glanz. Well, we've seen their tactics all evening. Dick Barry roaring the crowd on now. They've all got to choose which pair they're cheering for, the Danes or the Englishmen. So it's Mildenhall Stoke, the grand final. It's what it's all about now. And away they go, and a fast start by Monaghan this time, and Crabtree on the inside. Crabtree trying to close the door on Eriksson, and Monaghan's got the outside. They're so close there. They're running to the third turn, but it's the Stoke pair who've got the drop on the Mildenhall riders. It's Monaghan on the outside, Crabtree on the inside, and it's looking bad for Mildenhall now. Can Eriksson close the gap on the inside? But it's Crabtree. He'll use all his track craft and experience now as he'll try and keep Kevin Eriksson at bay. Eric Monaghan is in the position that the Stoke fans just need him to be in. Monaghan tonight has been unstoppable. He's won all his heats, he's leading the final, and what a night to pick to have your best form. Eric Monaghan is leading the final heat of the grand final of the National League Speedway Star pairs. Nigel Crabtree is tucked in second, and these Stoke pods are nearly there. Crabtree's drifted wide, and Eriksson has come through. On the last lap, Kevin Eriksson has snatched second from Crabtree, but where's Peter Glanz? Where is Glanz? There he is, but Monaghan's taken the flag. Eriksson's second and Crabtree's safe. Crabtree has clinched third, and Stoke, they've done it again. They've won it for the second year running, and who can stop the Signal men? Congratulations to Stoke. They've beaten the fast starting Danes. They've pulled it out the bag, and delight all round. The colour is red and blue. The team are Stoke. The riders are Crabtree and Monaghan, and their fans are delirious. And as well they might be. They've come a long way, and they nearly collided there in all the euphoria. Well done, Bootsy. Well done, Crabby. The Speedway Star National League Pairs champions for 1989. Well, they're delighted with that. What a victory for the Stoke pair. To round off a thrilling meeting as well. Plenty of incidents, plenty of falls, drama. And what a meeting for the...
Last season at Stoke, again, during Glasgow's league match, you had a fairly heated discussion with your current team manager, Ian Steele. What was all that about, and does he ever remind you of it, or do you in fact have occasion to remind him of it?
Everybody keeps reminding me of it. I never remind anybody of it, but everybody keeps reminding me. That was just Glasgow doing what Glasgow do best, by putting on a show, giving the crowd something to shout about. And the crowd at Stoke, even to this day, they talk about that night when Glasgow were there, when they came down to Stoke and they beat Stoke. Glasgow had put a bit of a protest in about the track. There was nothing wrong with the track. Glasgow said there was nothing wrong with the track, but they just wanted to stir things up a little bit, liven things up. They just liven the night up, you know, and again, it was a cracking night, you know. Nights like that and the Speedway stadiums would be full every week, you know, just a very good meeting. Stoke lost by 2 or 3 points, but even the Stoke crowd went home. They didn't go home disappointed because they'd seen everything that night. They'd seen some crashes, some very good racing. you know, possibly if Stoke could have just won, they would have gone home more happier, but it was a cracking night, good night for Speedway.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see Ian Steele with the number 3 race jacket on right enough.
Yeah, you never know, we might get him on it this year, eh?
Maybe at the Testimonial.
Yeah.
You arrived at Shawfield this season after the unfortunate demise of Stoke. Do you have any regrets about your time at Stoke and about them closing down? And did you have any reservations about the long journey up and down to Glasgow each week?
Obviously, when Stoke shut down, I was very disappointed. You can't work somewhere or work for someone for 9 years and then just leave and not have no regrets. I mean, yeah, I was very disappointed. I've had a very good time at Stoke and enjoyed every one of those 9 years. And possibly, I don't know if it's fair to say this, maybe if I think if Stoke hadn't have shut, possibly I would still have been there this year. We don't know that, you know, because that hasn't happened. But having said that, when Stoke did shut down, my first choice was Glasgow. That is where I wanted to come, and luckily Glasgow wanted us, and so it's worked out well for me, very well. I couldn't have wished for anything better. You know, it's a great setup at Glasgow. I love the place. The travelling is not a problem at all. It's like 250 miles from my house to Glasgow. It takes me about 3.5 hours. It's not a problem. The first 2 weeks I did actually just think, you know, oh, what have I let myself in for here, you know, the first couple of 3 weeks. But it's got easier, it's just got better. I mean, I was talking to Eric Monahan, talked to him regular, Eric, and he rides at Peterborough, which is only like probably 130 miles from our houses, you know, from where Eric and myself live, and it takes Eric 3 hours to get to Peterborough. You know, so it only takes me half an hour longer to come to Glasgow, so it's not a problem, isn't the travelling, and it's been a good move for me.
That was the first status quo and something maybe about you all right. And for Lisa McCormack, whose 21st birthday the next Wednesday. Happy birthday for that as we go to Heat 13. As we come to the tape from the inside in white, it's David Barge. Gate 2 is blue, Chris Bobby. Gate 3 in yellow, Martin Dixon. And on gate 4 in red, the skipper Nigel Crabtree. Heat number 13.
Neil, Nigel Crabtree has joined us this season. Neil, Nigel Crabtree has joined us this season from the now defunct Stoke track. He was obviously a target for Glasgow, and he may have been for a number of years now. We've been successful in being able to obtain his services. What do you feel about the rider, and was he a target of yours?
Nigel who? Yeah, I know about.
It is Crabtree, yes, it is Nigel Crabtree.
What? Philip who? Philip, what? Small, Philip Small. Philip Small.
Small Philip.
Could be Small Philip. Right, sorry, right. Oh! Sorry, you were saying, Christopher, what was it you were asking?
Nigel Crabtree has joined us this season. from the unfortunately now defunct Stoke track. Has he been a target for some time, and did you jump at the opportunity to be able to get him in this his testimonial season?
Yeah, well, I mean, Nigel's a rider I've admired from afar for many years. I actually, in fact, and I hate to admit this on camera, I had the opportunity of signing Nigel many years ago. He used to run about with the Sheldricks, that's before your time, for his sins from sunny Scunny, and he was up at Paisley one time, and he was younger generation, and I was still pain in the tonsils that I am, and I said to this young pup that was wandering about the pits, what are you going to be? You're going to be a speedway rider, mister. I thought, this guy will never be a speedway rider. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we all know that not only did he be a speedway rider, he's a superb person as well. Yes, when Stoke unfortunately closed due to financial problems, Nigel was the target. So was Bootsy, Eric Monaghan as well. But of the two, I think Nigel was going to be the best person to fit in, and it was obviously we were in a position to stage his testimonial, which was a big thing to him, because hopefully he'll get a reward financially that he deserves. He's put a lot of effort into the Speedway.
And how do you think his season has gone so far? He's very critical of his own performances. Obviously, he feels he hasn't had a particularly good start to the season. What do you feel as his boss?
You think he's critical? You want to hear his wife? Blimey. No, they are...
Of you or of him?
I was quite bit terrible. You can't get good staff nowadays, can you? Terrible. No, Nigel is very critical of himself. He really is. He went through, by his own admission, he would admit he went through a bad spell. He just wasn't scoring points at all. But Nigel was always one that would ask advice, and I mean, you can't get any more or any better advice than from Sudden Sam Ermolenko. And Nigel spoke to Sam, and Sam really did a psychological job on him more than anything else, and lent him an engine. Now, whether the engine was any better than the engines that Nigel had been using, who's to say? Certainly I'm not to say, but he jumped on this engine, and after a couple of races to get used to it, he's been flying, and he's come in with some valuable scores. But so far this season, I remember him the first trip we did to Exeter this year, where he wasn't riding. He was in crutches, and he was in the pits, he was on the centre green, and he's giving bollockings to everybody and sundry, just keeping them motivated. And the same at Shawfield, I remember him against Middlesbrough, and we struggled that night, if you remember, and he was running about the pits, and Bosie is a fabulous captain, he really is, he really keeps everyone on their toes, and he had a couple of bad races, and Nigel's in there and he's giving him some stick. Oh, really and truly. But they're so professional, the whole team, that they'll take constructive criticism off of each other. There's no point in me going in and telling me how to ride a bike. I couldn't ride a speedway bike to save myself, But when you've got a team that all want to be winners, it's so easy to make it all gel together. And I think that's another great asset of Nigel's. He's prepared to mix with everybody, as are all the team this year. Because Glasgow's teams over the years, there's maybe been wee niggles here and wee niggles there that aren't really on the surface. They're just silly wee simmering things. But this year, you can genuinely say there's no hassle with any of them. Running from the top of the team, Bosie right down to David Nagle at the tail end. Everybody will help everybody. David said that publicly already this season, that how much everyone helps everybody. And a lot of that, the team was picked on that basis, that we knew that we had a formula. I mean, Dougie and I were quite happy that everybody would get on with everybody. You've got to, when it's such a high profile, and it's a dangerous sport, let's face it, But yeah, Nigel's fitted in very, very well, and I just hope his testimonial goes very, very well for him.
Gate number 3, the high-flying Mick Powell goes into gate 1. He got paid 16 in Glasgow's last away match at Edinburgh. Gate 2 is Peter Glanz, the Dane recently brought into the Oxford side. In gate 3 it's the testimonial man Nigel Crabtree, and in gate 4 David Smart. Mick Powell, a tremendous start. Gate 1 seems to be a pretty good gate tonight. Peter Glanz is quite a quick starter, but he was rather poorly away from gate 2, and it's David Smart who's actually challenging as Nigel Crabtree goes to the front and teams up with Mick Powell. David Smart never gives up. Man from the West Country has often said he likes racing in Scotland. He appreciates the grippy sort of tracks we get up here. Good for him. He's not enjoying any success here in his attempts to catch the Tigers twosome. Crabtree just keeping slightly off the white line to let Mick Powell go round the inside. They're into their final lap. David Smart's not far away. He'd have to find something pretty special to get past, I think. He's within about 10 yards. He's going to try a big blast round the outside. He's kept it interesting, and he's got an outside chance here. Just misses on second place there. Mick Powell just takes it. Good finish to that race, and a 4-lap effort by David Smart that should earn him the applause of the crowd, I think. But it's a 5-1 to the Tigers, though, and it's 14-4 the score. And we look forward to seeing David Smart come out again in his next race.
Eric.
Just in case you forgot. Or it was when I went to school.
That's it, yeah.
Okay. Now.
Eric Monaghan, one of Nigel Crabtree's old teammates. When did you first come to know Nigel?
I don't really know when it was, but whenever it was too soon.
And you rode with Nigel as a teammate as well and won the National League pairs. Was he a good rider to ride with?
No, he's horrendous. You never know where he is. He's always bloody either up the fence or up the curb. No, it's obviously he was good to ride with. We've had some great times, and you know, it's pity really we're not still together, but because we kept each other going. You know, Nigel's getting a bit long in the tooth, and you have to keep giving him the pep pills, and he's on his way here now to see us. So he's going to tickle me.
There's no wrong with him. There's no wrong with him, because Peterborough weren't doing very well.
Nigel says you're older than him. Is that true?
It's not true. You can obviously see by the way he's balding, and I've got plenty of still golden locks. He's stunned for words, you can see.
So what were Nigel Crabtree's attributes, would you say, as a rider and teammate?
He's got none whatsoever. I think that's fair enough, don't you? I mean, he's just a bald-headed old coot. I hope you give him a copy of this video.
Right, thanks a lot, Eric. He talks highly of you as well.
You got no sense out of me whatsoever, really, did you? Never mind, try again.
Must be the concussion.
It is, yeah. Thanks a lot, lads. Cheers.
Thanks.
Nigel, by your own admission, the start of the season wasn't a particularly good one by yourself, but since being able to purchase, with the help of the Glasgow supporters, an engine from Sam Ermolenko, your points have started to fairly mount up. Was this the engine, or was it psychological, or do you think it was a bit of both, maybe?
Yeah, everything goes hand in hand. I need a good engine to be able to score points. On some riders are natural riders, they can jump on anything and score points. I need an engine what will do most of the work. And like Sam lent me his engine, and from that meeting really it's sort of taken off, and I've had pretty good meetings. I had a few dodgy ones at Edinburgh, and you know, I had a bad one at Sheffield a week or two ago. But like, yeah, the engine's made all the difference, and I was glad to be able to get that, and we went to Rye, we won there, and that was the last heat decided. We managed to win that one, and the same at Exeter, so you know, I was pleased about those, you know, so that's good. We've managed to win a few away meetings. I've managed to score plenty of points in them meetings as well, so I feel like I've played a bit of a good part in them.
Yeah, Oxford seemed to be a bit of the turning point. That was a 13-point score away from home.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. That was possible. I think that was my second meeting on the engine. So, yeah, you know, we're obviously very pleased. And obviously we gave Oxford a good hammering as well. And from there we seemed to take off, and we've won a few matches since then, and possibly that was the turning point.
What to date do you reckon has been your most memorable experience or meeting since you've been a Glasgow Tiger?
Everyone, really. It's been hard work coming up to Glasgow, because I knew exactly how I was going to set my bike up for Stoke when I was at Stoke. Every week I just knew what it was going to be like, and I knew the bike would just set the same every week. It's been hard work transforming to the Glasgow track. It's a bigger track, you need more power in the engines, and it's been hard work. But I think probably my best meeting at Shawfield was against, I think it was Rye House, where I came from the back 2 or 3 times, and I got a paid maximum that night, and we had a good win as well, so that was a good night for us. And every meeting we win is a good night, you know. I'm not really bothered how many points I get, so long as we can win as a team. That's the important thing.
Yeah, as in seasons gone by, you've always scored a fair amount of maximums, and I suppose to get one at Shawfield and a new season, a new home, etc., is always going to be an achievement anyway.
Yeah, that's right. I say it's been very difficult. It's been a lot harder than anybody could have ever expected, more hard than I expected. But you know, we sat at the top of the league, aren't we? So that is the important thing, and as I say, I'm pleased to have been able to play a part in it.
What is your opinion so far on your new home with regard to, obviously, promotion, teammates, supporters, etc.? I suppose we're putting you in a bit of a spot here.
No, you're not at all, are you really? Doug and Neil are first class, aren't they? All they want is success for Glasgow. Excellent, you know, it's fantastic. The crowd, great people. They've always been great people whenever I come up here with Stoke or whoever. You know, the crowd's always been excellent, very friendly, and they're always friendly now to the away riders, you know, so everything about the place is really good. I'm really happy up here in Glasgow. It's excellent. And say top it all off with the top of the league. That just really does round it off.
So finally, after what has seemed like an everlasting evening, we reach heat number 18. From the inside, Mikael Turnberg for the Rockets. From 2, Robert Nage. 3 is Trevor O'Brien. And in 4, Nigel Crabtree for the Alfred McAlpin Tigers. And the time this Friday evening, real time, 25 minutes to 11. And the news about David Walsh, by the way, is he has suffered concussion plus a fairly bad gash to his leg, and he's been kept in the Victoria Infirmary for tests and for x-rays as well, and that is very definitely a bad blow to the Glasgow Tigers. Let's wish him well on behalf of all the supporters as we watch heat number 18. Well, a good start there for Mikael Turnberg. The 2 Tigers in the middle. What can they do about this, if anything? They're chasing him. He's sandwiched now, and a pincer movement there, which means that the 2 Tigers take him, do they? Yes, they do. Well, that was classy stuff there by Nage and Crabtree. And Turnberg now finds himself at the rear. Having been first, he goes to last. Well, all round the Rye House Rockets tonight have been a bit disappointing. And certainly when they were last at Shawfield, which was a few months ago, back in April, they looked pretty good, and of course at that occasion their skipper Martin Goodwin took 13 points. Tonight, events have proved otherwise, and in heat number 18, it's a 5-1 to the Tigers. Nigel Crabtree first, Robert Nage in second. And that means that Nigel Crabtree scores his 15-point maximum, and I suspect will get the bumps from his teammates when he comes round in just a moment.
Yeah. If Glasgow do win the league and decide to take promotion, do you reckon you'd be prepared to go and have a bash at Division 1?
I don't think so. Now then. Yeah.
That's put you in a bit of a spot.
Yeah, that's put me on the spot, hasn't it? I don't think it would be in Glasgow's interests or my interest to have me in a team if they're in the First Division. I'm not going to get any better now. I'm 33. I do still feel I've got plenty of years left in me in the Second Division, but I don't think I could go First Division, not now. And as I say, in Glasgow's interest, I think they're better off without me if they went First Division. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, do we? I wouldn't say that's definite, but at the moment, I can't see that I would be part of a Glasgow team in the First Division, which would be a bit sad, like, because I've had up to now, we're 2/3 of the way through the season, and I've had a fantastic time, even though I haven't scored as many points as I would have liked to have done.
Do you think the noisy Glasgow support would take to Division 1 racing?
The Glasgow supporters will take to anything, I think, won't they? Because they're just Speedway through and through. And they're just Glasgow Speedway through and through. You only have to look on the away travels. I think Glasgow is the only team in the country what takes buses when they go on their travels. So, you know, I think they would follow First Division racing. You know, again, I've never been a great lover. I've never had much time in the First Division. I think 1984 I did a few meetings for Sheffield. That is about my limit on the First Division scene. Yeah, I've never had much to do with it.
Nigel, we're here at Loomer Road, the old home of the Stoke Potters. How does it feel coming back to a track where you've ridden so many times and seeing it in this state now?
Obviously, it's always a lot of good memories for me down here. 9 years of them. You know, I come back down here. It's the first time I've been back down here since the last meeting of '92, and it's depressing, really, I suppose. I say it was a lot of good memories for me. Probably my best years in Speedway were spent down here, and it's disappointing to see not Speedway being here and see it in the state it's in at the moment. You know, the stock cars have taken the toll on it.
And do you feel there could still be a future for a Stoke Speedway if it was to open again?
I'm sure there will be. I'm sure it will open. That's maybe me from my heart thinking. I don't know, we've been here 9 years, it's maybe my heart telling me, my heart ruling my head saying that, I don't know. But I'm sure it could hold Speedway again here and Speedway could be successful.
And Speedway at Stoke surely was more than just a sport for you, it must have been a part of your life that you're now missing.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, when people used to knock it or criticise Stoke Speedway, I used to take that personal. Because we spent so much time down here working, I mean, the stock car fence, all that, I put those posts in, the dog track we laid all that sand when I used to have a couple of JCBs going back a few years, the drains on the centre, we did all that work over the 91 and 92, we did all that work. And I say when people criticised it, I took that personal and I could get a bit fired up about it really, and it hurt when it shut down. It hurt a lot when it shut down, but these things happen.
And what, have you got any special memories of your years at Stoke, such as your Pride of the Potteries one or anything?
Yeah, every year was special. I think possibly the best years were when Eric Monahan came. Eric and myself got on very well, and we could ride well together, and we had some very good times here, good laughs. I mean, there was times on a Friday night, you know, the night before the meeting, we used to come down, we used to have to put the fence up, all around the boards up, the sheets down with the Dave Tatham, who was then promoter, and it was pouring down with rain, freezing cold. The gang of volunteers used to be down here, and it was hard work, bloody hard work, but like everybody enjoyed it, everybody had a laugh, and it didn't seem like hard work because you enjoyed doing it. It was good times, and on a Sunday afternoon they used to have training schools here every week then, and I used to love doing the training schools, helping the young lads, running the training schools with the rest of them. Again, all the 9 years, every one of them was good years.
Nigel, we're now at the Limmer Road pits. Can you show us where Crabtree headquarters were on a race night?
Yeah, just there at the side of us. That's where we parked up for 9 years. You know, my first year I come, I don't know. That's just where they put me when I first came, and we was there for 9 years. So then we had later on after that, when the old man came, Eric Monahan, he was next to us. So yeah, we used to have quite a laugh. The only trouble with being at this end of the pit, so when it used to rain, it used to be like a bus stop here. Everybody just used to run and get in here, and then you couldn't get the bikes in or out and nothing. Like this was the end where everybody seemed to stand out the rain. But no, 9 years, and I never wanted to move from there. Like, cause like not that I'm superstitious or anything like that, but my first year here was pretty good, so I wanted to stop here after that. So that's where we were.
And did you always have a certain rider before Eric as well beside you in the pits, or was it just depend on who was at number 2 or what?
No, I can't remember who used to be there. I can't remember. I don't know now who was next to us before Eric, but say when Eric come, he come in the side there, and used to keep the spare bike down the side there, just outside by where the telephone is. Yeah, so I mean, I can remember when we concreted all the floor, like through beginning of '91, I think it was. Concreted all the floor. Lost some sweat over that. That was hard work. Yeah, and a lot of things like that used to go on down here. You know, bits of work, trying to improve the place. All to no avail at the moment.
So it'd be fair to say there's a bit of Nigel in every bit of this stadium from the work you've done over the years. Yeah,
over the years I've done quite a bit down here, from like cutting the grass to helping with the training schools, putting the sheets down. Not just myself, the other lads as well. I can remember there was one time during the middle of the season in '92, we was having a bad time. We weren't scoring many points at home as well as away, and we said we needed a practice. This is just the lads on our own. We said we needed to have a practice, so we arranged to have a practice on something like the Wednesday. And when I say the lads, I mean Gary Chesley, Alan Graham, Gary Stead, David Steen, Andy Meredith, myself, Eric. We all came for a practice. We'd come down on the Tuesday night, Eric, myself, again the gang of volunteers, Dave Tatham, the promoter, put all the sheets down, all the fence up. The one thing what we said to the lads was if we had to have a practice, there would be nobody here to take the sheets up and the boards up. If we did that, if we had a practice, we'd all have to do that. The riders would have to do that. And such was the team spirit, and how well everybody got on here. Everybody did it. As soon as we finished the practice, we'd up with the sheets and took the fence down. You know, you won't get many tracks where you'd get the riders what to do that. But that was such as the spirit was here, that the riders would muck in and do anything to help.
You've talked a great deal about Dave Tatham over the last few interviews here. Can you tell us briefly what Dave's contribution was at Stoke? Well,
Dave saved the place for 2 years. When Eric Stead sadly passed away, Dave Tatham took on the promoting rights here at Stoke, and he ran it for 2 years. And there was 2 of the best years I had here, I think. Maybe not in point scoring, 2 of the happiest years. I really liked working for Dave. He helped us all a lot and did whatever he could to help Stoke Speedway. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for him, and it was a great shame when it had to shut down and Dave had to pull out of Stoke Speedway. But again, that's just the way it goes, isn't it?
On to heat number 11 then. Heat 10 was actually a 5-1 for Stoke. So here's heat 11. The scores, 24-36. Crabby and Gary Chesley coming out in place of Andy Meredith as a tack sub. Mark Thorpe, Phil Jeffrey. Now, interesting. Crabby against Thorpe and Gary Chesley against Phil Jeffrey. Still a long way to go. Over the 2 legs, of course, anything could happen. And away we go, and a good start here for the guy in blue and also the man in red. Gary Chesley and Crabby. Crabtree leads. Mark Thorpe's right there with him. Now, a 4-2 here would help, but look at this. Phil Jeffrey come through, past Chesel. A disaster. When you put your tack sub in and he comes in last, that's very bad news. Now, can Chesel do the business here against Phil Jeffrey? They've already used Andy Meredith, beg your pardon, Eric Monaghan as a tack sub, and Gary Stead as a tack sub. Surprisingly, they haven't used Nigel Crabtree as a tack sub tonight, which is very unusual. Just wonder why. Because he's leading here at the moment. He's well ahead of Mark Thorpe. I should imagine Mark will be happy just to sit there and get his 2 points, because Newcastle are comfortably ahead. Heat 12 then, 27-39.
Earlier on, Nigel spoke about Dave Tatham, his former promoter. We're now at Dave's garage in Stoke. Dave, how did you come to know Nigel Crabtree?
Well, I'd been a fan of Speedway at Luma Road for many seasons. I'd also run the training school there for the last 4 years, so Nigel was no stranger to me. And when he knew that I was going to take over, he came along and offered to assist in any way that he could. What I would say, like, if there was a lot more like Nigel in Speedway, I'm quite certain that Speedway would be in a better situation than it is at this moment. There was nothing ever too much for him, whether it be 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock at night, 24 hours a day, Nigel was on hand. The love of the sport in him is so great. His dedication is great. You know, it may seem that this is a video for Nigel, but really, as a character, as a person, you know, I hold him in great esteem, and he deserves the success of a good testimonial. He'd served his 9 years at Luma Road. He'd given a lot of us, including me, a lot of pleasure in seeing him ride, race, go through the fence, whatever you want to do. He's done it all. We've had the pleasure, so he deserves a good meeting.
We were down at Luma Road earlier on filming, and Nigel was talking about a lot of the work he'd done. Now, did it help you a lot down at the stadium?
Yeah, when we went into the stadium, it was in a pretty raw state 2 years back. It had been let go over a number of years. I mean, one of the major things we did, we repainted it all to go in the sponsors' colours. And I mean, to repaint a stadium that didn't belong to us was just a task to take on. We did that. We altered dressing rooms, we concreted pit areas, and Nigel, although he'd got a season coming on in which he, you know, was mainly to earn his living, he was alongside of me all of that time. You know, whenever I needed him to lean on, he was there. Can't say anything, you know, whatever needs to be said about Nigel, I'll say it, and he was there with me. Also, his great buddy Eric Monaghan was never very far, although Eric worked, although Nigel did at the time, he'd got diggers, they always seemed to find time for me in Luma Road. That they were a great help and a great boost to me, the pair of them.
Nigel's also a rider who's known more as a solid team man than an individual. Would this be a fair comment?
Yeah, I mean, if you see videos of Nigel, he would always be looking behind to see where his partner was, assuming that he was in front, of course. You know, his hands would always be going, telling the partner that he should be on the left or he should be on the outside. He was never a selfish rider. He was always looking for the partner. It didn't matter if the partner finished up winning and Nigel was second behind him. A good team man, yeah.
You've built up your own business here in Stoke. Is this something you've been doing for a long time?
Yeah, I've always been involved on my own. I've not had a job as such a work for anybody. Prior to Trent Car Sales here, which we've been at for 5 years now, I'd got my own tyre company. Again, when Nigel had got diggers, we used to do the tyres on his digger. So yeah, it's hard work, it's hard going. Like everything, you only get out of life what you're prepared to put into it.
Nigel also tells us you used to have a bash at the old speed riding yourself. Was this something you enjoyed, or was it something you would have liked to have done as a profession?
Most certainly envy Nigel greatly, like being able to do what he does, and I would have loved to have been able to do it as Nigel does it professionally. Yeah, you know, I'd ride a bike every day. I've still got one of my own here now, and I would ride every day if I could. Would love to ride for him in his testimonial. Would love to have 4 laps with him, you know. But unfortunately, circumstances surrounding the closure of Luma Road would prevent me from doing that, unfortunately.
1990, Nigel, yourself and Eric Monaghan were involved in running a training school at Stoke. Did you get a lot of satisfaction out of this, and don't you think more emphasis should be put on this kind of thing nowadays?
Yeah, it's something we very much enjoyed doing. It was very hard work. It was all day Sunday. There was a lot of work involved in it, but it gave us a lot of satisfaction to be able to help the young lads and pass on the little bits what we've learnt through the years. I know Eric felt, you know, he was very pleased to be able to tell the lads where they were going wrong, what to do, how to go about it. I mean, not that we were ever world champions or anything like that, but we must know something. We've been doing it long enough, and it was good. It was very pleasing to, and I miss doing that sort of thing now. Like I would like to be able to get involved in doing something like that again. You know, bringing the young lads on, because there isn't enough of that going on, and you know, your world champions, they come from them type of things. You know, you need these lads coming through to the training schools, practicing, learning, making mistakes, putting them right, and going on and getting into the team and going on to bigger and better things. We really enjoyed doing that.
I suppose the youngsters are the lifeblood of the sport, and if there's no facilities to allow them to train, then where does the future of the sport lie?
Well, that's a problem, isn't it? There are training schools up and down the country, but they are getting less, and without them it is a great problem. I know going back years, when Peter Collins started, all them boys were riding on grass and converted, came over to Speedway. Nowadays there doesn't seem to be that happening very often, which is a shame. You know, it seems to be, it's in a lull, isn't it, Speedway? But it's got to come out of it, and it will take an upturn, and those lads will start coming through again.
Excuse me, Nigel. That's your bike's ready for the morning. Just finished them off.
Thanks, Dougie.
I had to put a new Amiga piston in.
In your new piston?
I had to put a new Amiga piston in.
Could we not have left the old one in, Dougie?
No, but I put the 600 one in.
Dougie, that's on video. They're gonna...
Oh my God! Oh,
Dougie!
Is it on video?
You can still got it on there, Brad. Yeah. Dougie, if Edinburgh hear that, you know, they'll file a complaint, you know.
Oh, I know.
They'll be able to take it points off us.
But you didn't have it in last night, though.
Oh, right, that's all right then.
I've just bored it out now, just trying to pour it out for 600.
So it's your fault if it goes wrong tomorrow night now, Dougie, and we've got it on tape, so we know it's your fault now.
If you get 6 gates tonight or 5 gates tomorrow night, you'll know what it is.
Yeah, you're doing the back again tomorrow.
Yeah. That clean enough now? What's funny, Nigel?
Dougie, this is obviously the video for Nigel Crabtree's testimonial. Nigel is a fully fledged Tiger this season. Had you any ambition for Nigel sort of last season? Had you hoped to bring him to Glasgow?
Well, I think it was well settled at Stoke at that particular time, like last season, during the season, and I think he would still have been at Stoke if they hadn't folded, like, you know, because I think he enjoyed himself at Stoke, like, and you know, he done well there. But we're very happy that we got him, like, you know, even although he kept sending me money through the post in the winter, like, you know, to help towards his transfer fee. But, like, you know, it was all, everything was gratefully accepted, like, you know.
We've seen you this afternoon, obviously. You've just done Nigel's bikes, and he seems reasonably happy so far about them. Is this quite a hard job for you? Does he have you doing it every week?
Well, you know, the worst job's cleaning the leathers. Oh, that muck off Edinburgh, like, you know, it sticks like nothing on earth. And then, you know, when it goes in the ground, you just slip on it, like, you know, it's blooming that slippy and slidey and stuff, like, I don't know what it is, like, you know. But anyway, I managed to get them cleaned, the old fairy liquid out and that, and the Brillo pad, and Brillo padded them and dubbing them, and...
It must take some time to put the insulating tape back on. I see he's got quite a lot of silver insulating tape. He's quite a bit of a poser, is there, Nigel?
Oh yeah, I think so. Aye, it does, but it sticks quite well once you get the soap suds off and that. Like, it doesn't too badly, you know. In actual fact, I'm putting his chain with a bit of silver tape as well. Like, I've not told him though, you know. But couldn't find the clip to put it together, like, you know. So I just put a bit of that tape on, you know.
I'm sure we could find a paper clip.
Dougie, what are you doing to this bike?
What's wrong now?
It's making a right noise. You put piston upside down?
I don't know.
I bet you put piston upside down. You best be quick, Dougie, and get out here and finish it off.
You just warm it up then. Yeah, warm it up for me.
Yeah, don't be long.
Jeez, there you are.
Very ungrateful.
Very, very hard taskmaster. Gee, terrible.
He tells me that Neil actually washes his car when he's up on a Sunday as well.
I think he does, yeah, I think so.
In between shouting at referees and whatnot.
I think, yeah, you'll always see Neil's hands always awfully clean, like, you know.
He's got quite soft hands. It's his hands that do dishes type of hands.
You've been with him as well, like, you know. I've not really felt his soft hands, like, you know. But I've heard he's like that, like.
There was one night he had me warmly round the neck. And that was
Is that what it was? Aye.
Obviously, the testimonial, on a more serious note, the testimonial's coming up on the 12th of September. You'll be hoping for a bumper night that night for Nigel and obviously for Glasgow Speedway.
Ah, well, I hope, yeah, definitely. I hope Nigel has a terrific night, and I hope it's a good testimonial year for him all round, like, you know, and because, I mean, he deserves it, like, you know. He's worked hard for the sport, like, hasn't he, really, like, he's a great ambassador of the sport, you know, and even, you know, I think he used to help the kids and stuff like that, you know, he used to take training schools and stuff like that, you know, down south, and I think, you know, we should be really probably doing that sometime in the near future at Glasgow as well, maybe this winter, like, you know, let's get some training schools going.
Right, at Shawfield?
At Shawfield, yeah, if Billy King would be nice to us and wouldn't want thousands and thousands of pounds for us to put on a Saturday afternoon or something like that, or a Sunday afternoon and have a few wee blooming spin rounds and a bit of training for the kids, like, you know.
What do you see Glasgow's ambition again, obviously, for this season? We're sitting high at the top of the league at the moment. We're 2/3 of the way through the season. What do you reckon, Dougie?
Well, I mean, I've always said it all along, and I said it for the start of the season, I just really, like, my ambitions are not too high. I just want to win the league and the KO Cup. I really wanted the fours, but unfortunately we didn't click in that particular competition.
Well, the other Scottish clubs have got to win something, I suppose.
Well, it's good that it did come to Scotland anyway, really, you know. I'm glad for Mr. Hackness and what do you call that other guy? Campbell. I'm glad for him as well. Like, you know, it was good to see it coming up, and I just hope that we live to, you know, get what we really deserve, because you know we've led it for the very start, and we're very, very close to just finishing it off now, like, you know. And hopefully we'll get the right team in the semi-final. It doesn't matter where it is, but it'd be nice to get Peterborough, because it would save any hassle with the Sunday meetings. Although I don't know if they will, because last night Peterborough raced Mark Thorpe.
Yes.
Mark Thorpe scored 14 points. Mark Thorpe's already cup tied with Newcastle.
That's exactly what my thinking of it was, yeah. It seems unfair that a rider who's already ridden in the competition should be able to ride for another team.
I think probably Ronnie Russell is keeping that up his sleeve, and he'll let them use another guest tonight who's already cup tied with somebody else, and then claim the semi-final, claim the quarter-final tie by default, like, you know. And I'm sure that's what's going to happen.
You'll obviously be on the phone to him tonight to plant such a seed in his head.
No, because I'd rather have Peterborough. I love beating Peter Oaks and Peterborough, like, you know.
Yeah, obviously if we do win the cup in the league, it would be quite a feather in the Glasgow promotions cap. And would you anticipate First Division Speedway at Shawfield next season, or is it just a bit early to say that yet?
I think let's win it first. Let's win the league first, and let's get sure, like, you know, let's not count our chickens before they're hatched, you know, and let's really get on with it, and we'll see what happens come the winter, you know. Come the league, if we win the league, then we'll have to look at the whole situation.
There has been talk for some time of the possibility of one league. Can you see that happening next season, or are we drifting away from that again?
I personally, I don't think there'll ever be one league. I think there are probably 5 or 6 clubs. There are probably 5 or 6 clubs who really want an elite league of their own, you know, and you know, we should really let them go away and do that, and we'll have our own 18-club league with, you know, something in the lines of the old National League.
Dougie, thanks very much.
David Walsh, it's Nigel Crabtree's testimonial tonight. You've been Nigel's partner this season for much of the year. How's Nigel to ride with?
He's really great. I think we're going to be interrupted very shortly, actually. But yeah, he's a really good team rider. I enjoy riding with him because, you know, I think we've got quite a good understanding, and whenever we get out in front together, we always make a looking for each other, and it makes it really enjoyable. And yeah, I really like riding with him. For just a short while after I was injured, yeah, I knew he'd do this. Just for a short while after I was injured, I rode at number 2, and but I did feel much happier riding it back in my usual slot. And yeah, yeah, I'm happy with the partnership, and I just hope, well, obviously everyone hopes that he has a successful day today, and if I can contribute to that success today, well, hopefully he'll look after me a little bit better than he has been, which is difficult, I know, because he looks after me pretty well, but yeah.
What do you feel a rider like Nigel Crabtree, who spent so long with one club and in the second division, gives to the sport? Well,
I mean, long-serving riders, they give a particular club a sense of continuity, which, I mean, is all too often lacking in Speedway. You know, I mean, God, having a team running for 10 years is quite an achievement these days. So having a rider that gives someone something to identify with, it's really important. And I mean, it's unfortunate what happened at Stoke for the Stoke fans more than anyone. I mean, we've having Nigel at Glasgow this season, it's helped our team, but I'm sure the Stoke fans are really disappointed because he was a hero there, you know. And so in that respect, they're invaluable because you know, I mean, people need that continuity, as I say, and so yeah, Nigel deserves respect for that. And I mean, he's not only been a long-serving rider, he's also been their number 1 for consistently for well, for the amount of time that he's been there. Maybe apart from when Paul Thorpe was there, I don't know, but yeah, so he deserves respect for that, and you know, and he thoroughly deserves his testimonial.
Right, thanks a lot, David, and good luck for the rest of the night.
Okay, thanks.
Nigel, it's now 5 o'clock. Oh, do you want to see to I just realised.
It's not like 5 o'clock. It's 5 to. It's only 3:30, is it? Is that what we're going for? 3:30. Oh, carry on, carry on.
Okay.
Go.
3, 2. Nigel, it's now 5 o'clock, an hour and a half to go. Are the nerves starting to jangle now?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, there's that many good people around about. You know, everybody's sorting things out. Neil, Ian, Tom McCrone, Dougie, everybody is just sorting everything out for me, really. So, yeah, I am a little bit worried, you know, just as long as everything goes off okay and everybody enjoys themselves. A couple of riders have pulled out this morning through injuries and 1 or 2 other things, so that's the way it goes, though. You've got to expect these things, but I'm sure we'll be all right when it gets going.
So are preparations all in hand now, or is there still work going on behind the scenes?
I think there's loads of work going on in the office there. There seems to be a bit of a scramble. Not doing me, though. I'm out here, so I'm all right. But no, I just, everything should go okay. Normally does here at Shawfield. Everything's usually well organised, and I don't see why today should be any different.
And do you think you'll actually get a chance to concentrate on your riding tonight, or are you going to be too worked up about the rest of the things that are happening?
That's secondary, really, to me at the moment. I just want everybody to enjoy themselves. I want to be able to enjoy myself, and we'll see how many points we get at the end of the night.
So the night when winning doesn't matter then?
Well, we say that, don't we? Like, once we get to them tapes, like, things may just alter a little bit, mightn't they? It seems that when you're not actually racing for your living, which today it's a fun meeting, the riders are riding for sort of virtually nothing, it seems like it can work the other way and you can get some very good racing, so let's hope it works that way.
Right, thanks Nigel, and I'll speak to you later.
Thank you very much. It's now 5:10. Number 1 in the back. How did you know I was number 1? You said.
Recovers from his concussion, Eric Monaghan. Eric, it's Nigel's big night tonight. How are you looking forward to riding in it?
I'm not.
So you don't fancy your chances then?
No. Yeah, it'd be all right, no worries. It's not my favourite place just at the moment is Glasgow, but you know, we'll do our best and try and get my arse into gear.
Do you think it's a shame that Nigel's testimonial has been held up here and not in Stoke, where he gave such good service to the club?
Yeah, definitely, but lesser of two evils. It was either no testimonial or have it up here, so you know, he's had to make the best of a bad job, so to speak. You know, when saying that, no disrespect to anybody from Glasgow or anything, it's just that obviously a lot of people knew Nigel because he'd been there, and he's a common name in Stoke, so, and the surrounding areas, and it would have been a lot easier for him to pick up sponsorship, etc.
And do you think then that Nigel will suffer as far as financially wise as?
Possibly slightly, but he's such a well-liked person anyway that you know, it swings and roundabouts. He should come out of it quite well off.
Right, thanks a lot, Eric. We'll talk to you later.
Cheers, mate.
I'll have the
25th of September. That rings a bell.
Someone else.
Kenny, riding for Nigel Crabtree tonight. When did you first meet Nigel?
Long time ago. I think probably I was in Junior League and Nigel had just started at Newcastle. Many moons ago, 1979 probably was the first time I actually spoke to him.
And what do you think Nigel's qualities are as a rider and a racer?
Well, he's a rider and he's a very good racer. I think that's his qualities. He's been a very good, dedicated heat leader in second division throughout his career. He's gives it 100% and he's 100% trier.
And do you think riders like Nigel, who ride in the second division all their career and give young boys a experienced man to race against, are worthy riders of testimonials?
Well, I would have said so. Anyone that can put up with any club for 10 years has got to be have something special. It's either that, they're completely insane. But yeah, I mean, people like Nigel and Steve Lawson are very much in a par. They've ridden for teams, second division teams, all their career, and as you say, they've passed on an awful lot of experience to the young boys, which has always been to the benefit of the club.
And on a racing front tonight, where do you see your main opposition coming in the meeting?
Well, considering I've only just looked at the programme 20 seconds ago, no idea. I don't think it's about winning meetings tonight. It's about getting out and having some fun, doing a bit of racing and entertaining.
Right, thanks a lot, Kenny. We might see you later.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to Sheffield Stadium on a big night for Glasgow Speedway and for, in particular, Nigel Crabtree. This is his testimonial, the crowd giving him and all the riders in the meeting a warm reception. We've got stars of today and stars of yesteryear because there's some past master races we're going to see as well. And Nigel Crabtree's in there somewhere wearing the number 1. It's his big night. He's done 9 years at Stoke. Stoke unfortunately closed. He's now joined Glasgow and become a very popular member of their successful side this season. The riders are going to be turning out tonight. We're seeing some of the past masters down at this end that we're looking at the moment. I can see Charlie McKenna, Terry Kelly, Colin Caffrey, and the one and only Steve Lawson, probably the greatest tiger of all time. He hasn't changed yet. He's wearing his casual clothes. He'll be racing in a short time. They're not in the main part of the meeting. If you look at the lineup of riders in the main part of the meeting, quite an interesting lineup indeed. Down at this end we've got reserve Stuart Coleman, the local Tiger. Next to him Anthony Barlow, who's had some reserve rides for the Tigers this season. And then into the top 16 who ride in a 20 heat individual competition. Peter Carr there from Sheffield, riding very well for the Tigers at the moment. Next to him the former Edinburgh favourite, now at Bellevue and doing very well, that's Freddie Shott. Moving up one space, it's Sean Courtney, currently with Edinburgh, just being introduced to the crowd. Next to him, a young man doing brilliantly at reserve for Glasgow, James Greaves. Along from James, it's the Danish rider Jesper Olsen, also doing well for the Tigers. Mick Powell's just moved out of position. He's sauntering back to his place now. The riders always make it difficult for us commentators. That was Freddie Shott getting booed. Moving up again, Stuart MacDonald, number 9 for the Glasgow Tigers at the moment. Past the tapes, one of the stars of the meeting, the Bellevue ace, Australian star and former Glasgow star, Jason Lyons. Next to Jason, it's a good mate of Nigel Crabtree's for many years and a former teammate, Eric Monaghan, now at Peterborough. Next to Eric, it's Long Eaton's Martin Dixon, having a very good season, always a big favourite here at Shawfield. Next to Martin, David Walsh, riding very well for the Tigers in what appears to be almost certainly their league championship season. One place further up, another of the Tigers' reserves and going very well, David Nagle. Further up the line at the end, it's a couple of Edinburgh men. Michael Cole's there sitting on his bike. He's moving up near the top of the Edinburgh averages. And next to Michael, just moving on to down the line a wee bit, it's Kenny McKenna. So the rider's not standing very tidily, and one of the reasons is that we're waiting for the star of the show. He wasn't on parade initially. Here he comes now, wearing an unusual set of leathers. Haven't seen those ones before. The one and only Nigel Crabtree, one of the greats of National League and Second Division Speedway. As we said, Mr. Stoke for many years. Now a big favourite at Glasgow and doing a great heat leader's job for the Alfred McAlpine Tigers this season, and I think he's enjoying it very much. Nigel will probably tour the track. He's the guest of honour, the man they've all turned up to race for, and a good field has assembled to ride in an individual contest in Nigel's honour. And the meeting opens with an argument. Eric Monaghan wants to ride off gate 1 and Nigel Crabtree has got inside him. So it looks as though, oh, Eric Monaghan's given way there. Well, that's not like him. So Nigel Crabtree takes gate 1. Eric Monaghan's moved into gate 1 as well. Well, they might as well both start from there. They won the National League pairs together, so why not start from the same grid? The other riders in this race, once we eventually get sorted out, Jason Lyons will be from gate 2 in blue. Eric Monaghan will start from wherever he pleases, and Martin Dixon will go from gate 4. ready now. An all-star heat for the opening race of the Nigel Crabtree Testimonial. 20 heats of the main competition and several heats of the past masters as well. And Nigel Crabtree's away. Jason Lyons with him to the first corner. Crabtree leads, but Jason Lyons goes sweeping past him. Martin Dixon comes flying past Eric Monaghan for third place, but loses it again. So Lyons leads the way. Presumably nobody's told him it's Nigel Crabtree's testimonial and he's supposed to win. Jason wants the trophy. Having a great season with Bellevue, averaging over 8 points, I think. Eric Monaghan, whoa, he had Nigel Crabtree under pressure there, and he finishes up falling off, and he fell off on the same bend when he was here with Peterborough, and the race has stopped. Well, that's a shame. Hopefully Eric will be okay. He wouldn't have been okay if Martin Dixon had clipped him, which it looked as though he might have done, but Martin did very well to avoid him. So we wouldn't like to think anyone would be injured in a testimonial, and I'm sure Nigel Crabtree quite concerned as he goes to see his old mate there. Heat one again, and the referee's decision is that all 4 riders for the rerun because of first bend bunching. That's the official decision, and we all saw that that was exactly what happened. So it's Nigel Crabtree, Jason Lyons, Eric Monaghan and Martin Dixon once again. Crabtree's away again. Here comes Jason Lyons round the first corner. Current Tiger against former Tiger. Crabtree leads this time. Jason Lyons hasn't caught him as early as he did last time. Lyons cuts back inside. Roaring through there, Jason Lyons. Tremendous riding. A really powerful first and second corner there. Crabtree chasing. Jason Lyons joined Tigers about 3 years ago, had a couple of seasons here at Shawfield, and we can see how well he's progressing. One of Australia's top riders. Tremendous ride. Exciting style, flat out. Brilliant victory for Jason Lyons, who wheelies all the way up the last straight, and that was really entertaining stuff from the Bellevue star there. So he takes the 3 points in the opening race.
Nigel, that's one race down, and as I saw Eric Monaghan coming off in first bend bunching there, was that a controversial decision?
The first bend bunching, wasn't it? First bend bunching on the second lap. No, I mean, as we said, it's a fun day. There's no point in excluding Eric like them. So let him back in, and yeah, no problem. I'm glad the first one's out of the way though.
So you feel a bit more relaxed now you've got one race down?
Yeah, now I've had the first one, I feel okay. Probably be able to enjoy it now.
Right, thanks.
Thanks.
2-3. Former Tiger Andy Reid, you're looking forward to taking to the track again tonight?
To be honest, I'm not looking forward to it. I was till I got here, and now I'm beginning to think, what am I doing here? I thought it was just going to be a couple of nice toodles round at the end of the meeting, but it's right at the deep end. Steve Lawson, Jimmy Mack, who's had plenty of practice, Charlie McKinnon, so it is a bit in at the deep, considering I've not been on a bike for 7 years or whatever it is, but we'll have a go.
Do you think there'll still be a wee bit needle between these old riders when you go out on the track?
Oh, Speedway's always been the same. There's never such thing as somebody wanting to come second, third and fourth. All 4 will be trying to win, no doubt.
And how did you go about kitting yourself out machinery-wise for tonight's ride?
Well, initially I was going to ride Steve's bike. I've got an old Westlake, but I mean, that I used to ride, but it wouldn't be competitive. And I was looking forward to riding Steve's bike, but I see from the programme in the same races as him, so I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Beg, steal and borrow, I think.
Heat 2, Glasgow's David Walsh on the inside gate. Edinburgh's Michael Coles comes into gate 2. He's the new Scottish Open champion. In gate 3 it's David Nagle of the Tigers, and in gate 4 it's Kenny McKenna, the former Tiger, now with Edinburgh. So an Edinburgh versus Glasgow race here. David Walsh has made the start. And that favourable gate number 1. Kenny McKenna's looking to get into second at least, driving hard down the back straight after Walsh. McKenna swinging round the outside of the third and fourth corner. Walsh still leads. Coles has come racing through to challenge Kenny McKenna for second. Now McKenna trying to get inside Walsh. He's quite close after 2 laps. Walsh leaving a bit of a gap on the inside. Kenny McKenna can't take advantage. Michael Coles is looking to pick something up, trying an outside sweep here. As we get to the final corner, Coles has a chance of grabbing second, perhaps. David Walsh wins it. Here comes Coles' challenge for second, and that was very close indeed. I think Coles might have grabbed second from Kenny McKenna on the line there, but David Walsh certainly won it. Number 3, Mick Powell coming into gate number 1. You might think it's Shane Bowes, but the man inside Shane Bowes' leathers is Mick Powell. In gate 2 it's Jesper Olsen. In gate 3 it's Stuart MacDonald, who's a replacement in the meeting. And in gate 4 it's James Greaves. So young MacDonald and Greaves have been great rivals for some time. Now teammates. They were on opposite sides at the start of the season, but MacDonald has switched from Edinburgh to Glasgow. And Mick Powell's made a good start. Jesper Olsen and James Greaves challenging around the first corner. Greaves taking a big wide sweep. Thought he was going to get into second. In fact, he has. Just ahead of Jesper Olsen there as they get to the third corner. Racing hard. Greaves now challenging Mick Powell. Tremendous riding by Greaves. I think he could go round Powell. Here he has. Really using some tremendous power there. Sweeping around the outside. This could be an outstanding victory for James Greaves and great encouragement to him. He's pulling well away from Mick Powell. Mick's realised that there's a bit of grip round the outside, but I think he's well too late. Into the last lap, James Greaves well clear. And nobody's going to get near him, I don't think. Superb victory for Greaves from Powell and Olsen, and young James will be absolutely delighted with that. Terrific riding from the back, using the speed of his machine round the outside line. Number 4, the inside man is Bellevue's Freddie Shott, former Edinburgh man. In gate 2 it's Stuart Coleman, he replaces Scott Smith, who hasn't managed to get here. Gate 3 it's Peter Carr of Sheffield, and in gate 4 former Glasgow rider, now Edinburgh, Sean Courtney. Freddie Shott told me before the meeting that he's actually retired. He's just riding in this meeting as a favour to Nigel Crabtree. He also tells me that Joe Screen's retired. Don't know if it'll come to pass, but if it does, you heard it first on Frontier Videos. Freddie Shot leads. Peter Carr goes with him to the first corner. Carr going around the outside and he's gone to the front. Sean Courtney's in third place. Peter Carr looking very quick. Stuart Coleman's fallen off at the back, which is not an unusual sight, I'm afraid. Up front, Freddie Shot putting in a challenge on Peter Carr. High-speed battle here between these two. Peter Carr, second division man at Sheffield. Freddie Shot riding in the first division at Bellevue, and a tremendous challenge here from Shot on the last bend. Can he get round Carr here? Carr sweeps across and shuts out Shot, I think. And as they get to the line, Freddie Shot, I think, grabbed it. Peter Carr seemed to shut off at the last second, and it did look from here as though Freddie Shot got it. Although we thought that Michael Coles had pipped Kenny McKenna, and the referee didn't agree. So we'll see in a moment who's won heat number 4. We're now looking at heat number 1 of Blast from the Past, and this is definitely an all-star race. 4 of the greats from Tigers history. The man on gate number 1 wearing Stuart McDonald's leathers is Derek Richardson, a former skipper of the Tigers from the Blantyre days. In gate 2 is the all-time great Tiger Steve Lawson. In gate 3, the world finalist of 1972, Jim McMillan. And in gate 4, it's Andy Reid. And they were certainly all practicing their starts on the way round to the tapes. And one of the fastest gators of them all, Steve Lawson, has gone to the front. Jimmy McMillan's in second. Andy Reid's come through into third. And they're going well. Lawson leads. Lawson won the first ever race here at Shawfield, and he won hundreds of races for the Tigers. He's pulling away from the field here. Looking very confident. Jimmy McMillan in second place still. And Lawson, who quit at the end of last season, certainly looks as though he's hardly been off a bike. I know that Tigers have spoken to him about temporary comebacks and such like. He's resisted all attempts until now. I wonder if he'll still be able to resist such suggestions after such an excellent ride as that. Tremendous stuff. Steve Lawson wins and looks in great form. Jimmy McMillan took 2 points, Andy Reid took 1. Well, that'll cause a bit of a buzz on the terracing, I'm quite sure.
Steve, a good time in that race, and you seem to have lost none of your old style.
Still the same old style. I don't know, I felt rusty out there, bloody hell. It felt like I did 6 laps instead of 4. But it was nice to be back on the bike. I didn't make such a good start, I thought I'd blow it. But it was nice to be back.
Didn't put any ideas of a comeback into your head then?
No, not really. I was in the changing room before the meeting, and I thought, what the hell am I doing here? I've retired. But it's nice to be back out.
And how have you been passing your time without the Speedway?
How do I pass my time? To be honest, I don't know how I had time to do Speedway when I was doing it, so, I'm kept busy.
And the young boys, are they still doing the motocross?
Yeah, they were racing today. That's him there. Time. He was winning the meeting today, and he blew his last race. He fell off on the last corner, and he ended up second. But it was a back marker, wasn't he?
Thanks a lot, Steve.
Okay, you're welcome.